Hello guys, welcome again to a Gosu Academy coaching session. I'm doing a very short intro today because I am having some PC issues and this is sort of take two of this video. But basically what we're talking about today is we're talking about how to maximize your potential in solo queue. What can you do to have a bigger chance of winning in your solo queue matches, and we'll be doing this by going through sort of each individual role in Counter-Strike, talking about what is the role in general and also what you need to be good at. And what we were talking about before I had my big issues was when you're an entry fragger, which is a very common role you'll be sort of put into in a solo queue environment because a lot of players are, pretty scared and not really willing to be the ones creating the space. Entry fragging is, I would say it's part space creation and it's part trying to, get the opening kill basically. And the example I just used was when you're an entry fragger, you want to be making sort of a mind map. You want to figure out, one, where are my opponents? Holy shit, sorry, I'm a little bit flustered now. Where are my opponents? Where is my teammate's utility? And by doing this, you can figure out basically what angles are difficult to peek and at what timing you should go. The example I mentioned was when you want to be going out B, ideally you will get into this position. We'll get into that in a moment. But to get there, you will either have to flash the CT orb off the angle, or you will have to jiggle peek, or you have to Centaurus peek, or maybe multiple, like you can jiggle, then you can Centaurus peek. You can also get the flash and then still jiggle, or you can get the flash and then Centaurus peek. There's many options, but at least when you are an entry fragger, one of the most important things is pressing your utility or pressing your angle, basically. And when I say your utility, I mean your team's utility. So the example I used was when you're doing the most normal entry flash here on B, instead of being back here, which I see a ton of sort of lower level players do, ideally you will want to be pressed all the way up on this angle so that when this flash pops, you can immediately go in and take the space. Most of the times you will have a teammate in the back if you're playing at a high level who is standing ready with a smoke for CT. In the case that you're playing at a low level or whatever, your teammates don't have a smoke, or maybe you're one of the few last players alive, you could wait for the flash with smoke in hand, and when the flash is about to pop, you just swing out your smoke, then you get the flash, you go in and you clear everything. Here you run the risk of obviously dying to like an enemy orb or someone who is jiggling with utility blocking you, whatever. But still, the idea of pressing the flash, pressing your angle, is a very important thing to think about when you're an entry fragger, simply because if you're out here, for example, the flash is going to blind you, and if you're too far back, even if the flash were to blind your opponents, well, you will not be close enough to utilize the flash to its full effect effectively. So when you are entry fragging as well, or just actually in general when you're playing Counter-Strike, most things come down to, at least at high level, Counter-Strike, it comes down to, split-second decisions, stuff like this. And even a difference of staying here or staying here is enough that it can really heavily impact a round. Now, when I said about the sort of mental map of where are my opponents, this is also obviously an extremely crucial part of entry fragging. And it goes deeper than just sort of asking yourself the question, or like, let's say, the orb shot here on the first flash. Like imagine you asked your teammates to flash twice, and the first flash blinded the CT orber, and now he shot. And because of this, you know where the orb is. That would be sort of a, let's say, low-level mental map, right? But a better example of a mental map could be something like, imagine that we as T are taking banana, and as you're here, you're going anti-flash, your teammate who has an orb is holding for you. Now, you hear this flash, and the CTs don't go out. if the CTs don't go out on this flash, well, my mental map here as an entry fragger would be, okay, this sounded like the standard antenna flash that a lot of players will throw. That means there's at least one guy who's around like Ruins Coils area, who can obviously move to, for example, Dark, or he can also move back into Ruins. But this is probably one of the places I will be wanting to be worried about when I'm entry fragging. The fact that no one ran out as well could mean that they are having a passive setup on the side. Imagine something like this guy standing up here holding Molotov, and this guy, you know, playing some kind of information, maybe jiggling, whatever, and the flash is just to listen for footsteps. Because some CTs will do this. They will flash over, they will have a guy standing close, and that means if you get blind and you run or you shoot, they now have sort of free information that you guys are in banana. Another example could obviously be if you hear a step somewhere, or if you hear, I don't know, I mean, it could even be small things. This is actually, I guess, a thing that apparently not enough people know about, because I even had to tell this to my team recently. But if you pull the pin on a grenade, even though you can hear it as you're pulling the grenade, anyone who is standing next to you will not be able to hear the sound. It goes for all grenades. It goes for smoke, incendiary, flash, nade. The only grenade where there is actually a different logic behind this is the T-Molotov, where when you light the Molotov, it will create a sound that is audible to other players in the nearby. So let's just say in this example, this guy, you know, is pulling his Molotov and he's standing ready with it. Obviously, this would be a very specific case, but me hearing this one sound cue will allow me to maybe piece together that, okay, the other guy just flashed from Ruins, this guy pulled his Molotov, he's ready now with it. That means I can walk out from this angle for free, I can get close. When the flash comes, I can disregard the Ruins guy because he will be blind, and I can go in and I can like hyper focus on just this area, imagining obviously that we have a CT smoke down, right? This would be an example of entry fragging where, you know, the mental map comes into play. And that's really what entry fragging is. Obviously, there's, just as anything else in Counter-Strike, an element of mechanics, right? Like you need to have good movement, you need to have good aim. And one of the other things as well that you could have, I'll use Inferno A side as an example, is this is probably not something that is that important in a solo queue environment, but what a lot of pro teams will be doing is, as they are preparing a round, like if it's a set tactic, for example, you know, it's likely that you will already talk about entry pathing as well. So there will be some rounds, for example, where entry pathing will be good towards the side, and some rounds will be good towards the pit. I will quickly change map to Mirage and give an example of entry pathing. Mirage, obviously, I think the most played map in solo queue, and so this is a really easy example that I think will resonate with a lot of the better players here, like the higher elo people, but also will be a learning experience, I hope, for some of the people who don't know this. So in pro teams, in pro CS, it's basically an unspoken rule that as you are going out B with a Tech 9, for example, you will most of the time want to do this flash for yourself. And then some people choose to also combine it with this flash, which lands sort of default here, to go out with it. The flashes, you know, we can always talk about them in another session. But for the entry pathing, when you are jumping out and doing a B-pop, a lot of the times with Tech 9, people will jump out, they will clear this, and sort of in the air will, you know, they will clear this and this. And when they've cleared this, they will run across the site in this pathway and go and clear backside. The reason for this is because, you know, car will typically be Molotov, if someone is on balcony and he kills you when you're jumping out of the window, then your teammates will know he's locked in the corner. When you're jumping out here, this is a danger area, and this is a danger area. But also, this guy will typically be blind by your teammates' flashes, and this guy a lot of the time won't. So if you can kill this guy, or even just get information on him, that's pretty valuable. Taking this pathing means also you can clear, or at least fight missile. You can clear and fight default. And if you get like the right timing, you know, you can even peek towards short and check this clear, and then you can clear backside. And as soon as you get to here, you are sort of safe. Especially a lot of the times, you know, teams will do the window smoke as well, which makes this lane a lot safer, right? But an example of a different entry pathing. This was an example of entry pathing that you would probably do on like a force buy, but you might also do on a B pop on a buy round. But if I was to play against a force buy, so instead of us being a force buy, we are playing against a force buy, my pathing would likely be, you know, I will be Molotoving car, I will be running out here, I will be clearing balcony, I will be clearing this, and then I will be clearing like this. The reason for this is because one of the best positions you can sort of have against the B-pop when you are low money is right below the window. This will allow, you know, I've even seen people standing here with a knife on a full eco round. If you have a 5-7, you can like stand anywhere here. You won't really get that blind. You can kill the first guy who jumps out, take the AK, you can run back, you can play in this area and get multi-kills. You can stand here with a Zeus and you know, Zeus the first guy who jumps out. And so this is a really dangerous area to jump out into if you're having the AK. That's why a lot of the times, or I would actually say 100% of the times, when you know you're playing against low money, ideally with a rifle you will be wanting to clear this close area first and then sort of jump down and clear these other areas. And as you can see, my pathing naturally became different, right? Like I check this and then I check this and I go out and I fight the long range duels instead of fighting the sort of running this lane and taking a lot of space. So this was an example of an unspoken rule. Obviously, if you are, you know, playing Faceit, I would recommend doing this for sure. If you are the one going first on these kind of rounds, and these are just things you'll probably learn with time. You can also obviously always ask during my coaching sessions. But there will also be times where if you are in a team, you will want to have a specific entry pathing, like another example on Mirage. If you do stairs smoke and bench smoke, well, if your goal already before you go out is to take CT, it's likely that the entry pathing you'll be taking is something like this and going towards CT. Whereas if you have a CT smoke, who knows, maybe you'll rather play the longer duels on the shadow and you will be like walking towards bench and then walking close and be getting a flash through CT smoke. So I would say these are some of the thoughts that I would have when entering. Try again, just to sort of talk about what I mentioned already. Create a mental map of your teammate's utility, like what areas do you not want to be looking at, like where are the flashes landing, where are the smokes landing. You will want to create a mental map of where your opponents are, and you will probably want to create some sort of a mental map of what is a great entry pathing for you to take with the positions of the opponents in mind. I would say one last thing is like, for example, if you are playing in ramp here and you're about to do an A hit and you hear smoke being thrown from far away, this can mean kind of one of two things. It can mean either that, you know, the A player is playing, well, it can kind of mean three things. Either the A player is playing for retake, he's doing like slow smoke, and then he is just jumping information. In this case, you can probably take a lot of space as the first guy because the guy is playing retake and is not planning to fight you. It can also mean that there is multiple people A, and that this far guy, who is maybe the AWP, is smoking, or that he is faking retake, and that someone is playing close that he's setting up. Or it can also, you know, be that he smokes and then immediately tries to move into the side. But if he immediately moves into the side and you hear smoke being thrown from far away, you can kind of know he can only be like mid-side default, not shadow, or playing retake. But again, obviously someone can be close. And as an entry fragger, yeah, just you need to be really good at playing off your instinct. Like there will be times where you have to take a risk. And I think that's actually the most important thing as an entry fragger is you need to be okay with dying, and you need to understand that there will be rounds where you just don't have a chance. That's just how it is. So yeah, I would say that just about covers my thoughts when I'm entry fragging. Yeah, now I'm just curious if anyone has any questions about this. Okay. Well, if there's no one else, then if no one has a question, I will just move on from this. I will go take another example. Let me see, because I could talk about Mirage, but it's boring, I think, to talk about the same map all the time. I'm thinking I want to talk actually about Vertigo, but at the same time, I think let's go Ancient instead, since not so many people like Vertigo. So, moving on to the sort of next role that we have in solo queue, and I'm not sort of going in any specific order, but I think the next role we should talk about is sort of the role of a lurker. The reason why it's important to talk about lurkers is because now we've talked about entry fraggers, and in the modern day of Counter-Strike, entry fraggers and lurkers are in some way the same. It might sound a little bit confusing, but I promise I will try to make it make sense. Back in, Counter-Strike, let's just say 10 years ago, right? You had very sort of traditional lurkers in Get Right, for example. And their job was basically every time the team was going somewhere else, they would be going opposite. The idea of this was that, you would always have to watch your back and stuff like this. I think at some point that became a little predictable, and now it's kind of like a stylistic choice for teams. Some teams play a lot with lurkers, and some people don't. But the reason why I'm saying that entry fraggers are kind of lurkers as well is the entry fraggers are a lot of the times players playing on the outskirts, right? So, for example, an entry player will a lot of the times be playing towards B and will be fighting for example, cave control. Or will be, I guess Ancient for this is a slightly bad example, but will be maybe going out mid early and taking fights through utility and stuff like this. In the case of, the B player, because that's what works best to explain this on Ancient, I'll use just Aim from my own team. She is, I guess, kind of our entry player on B, and she's also at the same time the one who lurks in this area when we are only one here. The idea of this is, first of all, by having the same player going first in the area and having the same player sort of staying in the area means that that player can focus all their knowledge on one area. Think Mirage, right? The A lurk is typically the one who also goes, I guess maybe not on A. Sorry, my mind is running in a million directions at the same time to us. But basically, on Mirage, it is also a little bit untraditional in a way. Like the A player will a lot of the times be going A apps when the team is going out A. Whereas, for example, the B player, that's also actually Aim in my team. She is working that area or even holding that area on B Mirage herself. But if we're going out B, it will almost always be her going out first. And it's kind of the same case on Ancient. The reason for this is that entry players are typically the ones who are working the outskirts of the map. So like on Infernal, someone who is playing B Banana and fighting for that area will be the one who is going in front on B Banana. That makes sense. But it also means that if the rest of the team moves towards A, that person who is the furthest forward on B is also becoming the person who is staying in that area to keep control of it or try to take timings or put pressure, stuff like this. So in the modern day of Counter-Strike, an entry fragger is sort of a lurker. If you are entering on B on Inferno, for example, you will likely be one of the last that go out on A on Inferno. And if you are the A apps player on Inferno, you will likely be the last who is going into B, or you will be the one who's lurking around A. So for a lurker, you know what, actually I've changed my mind. Let's go to Inferno because it's such a good map for lurking, basically. As a lurker, there are also certain things that you will want to think about. And I think the sort of most powerful lurk position on Inferno is towards the apps area. This is where a lot of teams will leave a player. There's obviously a difference from map to map, and for certain maps it will be that teams tend to group up a lot. Like, I guess a map like Vertigo has, a mid lurk. Let me see if I can find a good example of a map. I mean, I would even say something like Mirage is a map where you don't really have, in Team CS, a super traditional lurk in that regard. Like, if the entire team is going B, the entire team is going B. It's rare that you have, 4 players going B and one person staying in A apps or something, and then when the team goes out B, the A apps player lurks out and tries to kill. It can happen in certain situations, and teams will do it, but it's rarely, I would say it's more out of necessity than out of planning, because the A player is just a lot of times out of the round, or will just try to get a kill on a rotating player, which probably won't change the outcome of the round all that much. On a map like Inferno, things are very different. When teams go B, there are, again, stylistic choices here, but there are certain teams that will a lot of the times have their A lurker join the B players, and there will also be a lot of teams where the A lurker will stay as a sort of backup plan on A. And I will just try to explain sort of the reasons for this and also how to play the lurk towards A apps in Inferno, so that in your solo queue matches, for example, you can try to implement this, essentially. Because I've mentioned this, I think, a million times in my sessions. If you are predictable, then you're easy to beat. And it's not good to have, an apps lurk who is always joining people on B. And it's also not good to have an apps lurk who is always staying in this area. I kind of don't want to mention names, but there is a certain top tier female team that we've played a few times, who always basically play with a lurk on A apps. And I'll show you the power of it, and I'll also show you the negatives of it. So, for example, if I am in A apps and my team is now hitting B, I can stand here as a sort of backup plan, and I can wait until I hear the pit player rotating. When the pit player rotates, I can go out and I can take the fight here, or even, here, and trying to kill this person who is rotating to the B side. If I get this kill, if my teammates haven't committed to the B side, they can always come back. And the sort of likelihood of us winning the round on A instead is very high. There is always a risk that, for example, the short player has pushed down mid. So this is some information I will want to give to my teammates as they are coming back. But if they manage to kill this player, and if I manage to kill the pit player, well, I can just go out, I can do the small pit smoke, and with this I've kind of locked the CTs out of the side, and this is a really high win percentage round for us, due to the nature of Inferno being very hard to retake, and especially the A-bomb side. Now, standing in this position as well, it doesn't just give me information on the pit player, it also gives me information on short player. Say we are hitting B, and I hear the short player running out short. Well, this is likely because he is pushing behind, and I can tell my teammates to be aware of this. There's other positions I can play as well to play a lurk. I can play around boiler, so I can try to kill the short player. I can also lurk out and try to move up short, and again play as a sort of backup plan. I can also come out of boiler, and I can try to, lurk long and see if I can catch the pit player who is rotating around this area and get the kill, and then lock the full rotation from the CTs and again likely win the round. There's also the possibility of me playing in this area, for example, where if they push apps, I will kill them. If they push mid, I will have a chance at killing them. And by doing this, it's not so much that I'm a backup plan in the sense that I am in a great position to sort of take over the site and give my teams another avenue. But what I can do is hold the push so that my teammates only need to worry about one direction, right? And this team that we've played against a few times in the female tournaments, who always have a lurk here somewhere, playing like here, or maybe even playing like up here, or playing in these areas and stuff like this. One of our ways of countering this is also for solo queue, I guess, is we would start doing our retakes quicker. So instead of taking the unsafe retake, like pushing down mid and pushing behind, we would always go with the safe retake avenue, and then we would start the retake on a sort of earlier timing, since we knew that even if, let's say, we just, in this hypothetical, we are 5v5, if we were to go and retake early, if we know they always have some player lurking in this area, it means that we are, in a way, 5v4 on the retake. We don't need to wait, obviously, for this player to come back, and we don't need to take the unsafe rotation. Instead, we can rotate through the safe area. We can use this to just go for the retake earlier, and by that we have a sort of fake man advantage, right? So that's one of the ways you can deal with it, and that's an exact example of, this might not be so relevant for solo queue, but still, if you are someone who is always staying around A as a lurk, on a map like Inferno, for example, if you continue doing it, it's possible that, they will start anticipating it, or they will come up with solutions on how to beat your team in a manner where you won't really have any impact. So a good lurk is good at changing it up, and also, just as it is in any role in Counter-Strike, try to make a mental map. If I'm here and I kill the pit player and I go and smoke small pit and I win the round by doing this, I think it's unlikely that the pit player will rotate with sound next time. Maybe instead next time he will walk away, or maybe he will stay a little longer. And then maybe it's better for me to go boiler and peek him as he's walking here, or I will walk long and lock the rotation and we can come back to A, stuff like this. Or I can walk behind in CT. So yeah, that's some of the things I would think about when I'm lurking. There's also the different sort of ways of lurking. There is passive lurking and there is aggressive lurking. So passive lurking would be kind of what I'm doing here. It's like I'm waiting for my moment to strike, and when it presents itself, I will do it and I will get a kill. This is almost like this old get right lurking, what we talked about. Some of it, can also be even more passive, where it's just I'm kind of holding rotations. But there's also the option to aggro lurk, like aggressive lurk. An example of aggressively lurking could be something like right before my teammates are about to hit B, I will do a long smoke and a short molo and bounce a flash for myself and try to fight for mid control. This is a style of lurking where I am away from my team, so I'm technically still lurking, but I'm doing it in a way where instead of hiding where I am, I'm making it very clear where I am. And I'm trying to take back map control, or like take map control by myself, or I will try to be creating pressure in an area. So this could be useful, for example, if my teammates are right now blocked behind a smoke on banana, and they don't have a grenade to blitz the smoke, like remove the smoke, maybe they will call for me to, if I have utility, do a more aggressive lurk, just so that during those 15 seconds where they are waiting, I can create some pressure on the other side of the map, which will keep rotations on A and will make them have an easier time at hitting the B-bomb side. Aggressive lurking doesn't mean I have to go out and die necessarily, but it's about creating pressure or searching the first duel. Let's say I don't have any utility, or maybe I just have a long smoke. There will be, an added risk, because I can die from this and this and this, and I can die, if my long smoke isn't so shallow, I can die from this copy. But sometimes it will be necessary that I'm aggro lurking and I'm trying to fight the pit player and see if I can win this duel, because with this kill, either my teammates will want to come back to me, or it will create rotations towards the A bomb side, which again, in turn, will let my teammates have an easier time on the B bomb side. Yes. Also, it isn't really about lurking, but I haven't really been able to fit this into a session, and I think it's a kind of cool rule of thumb that I haven't heard anyone talk about before. So I will just talk about it now, because it is sort of relevant for a lurker / entry player. Let me actually, this time I will actually change map, because I have now a good way of explaining this concept on DOS 2. So here is another hypothetical, okay? Let's just imagine we are doing a B default, or at least that our AWP player from the team is starting towards B. And now I'm searching, and I get a kill, right? This means that we now have an advantage. We are 5 versus 4, right? And on especially a map like DOS 2, it's kind of unique because it has an open rotation. You can actually get information on where the CTs are rotating. And so, in a 5v4 situation like this, from how a default CT team will set up on the round, it will likely now be 1 B player plus 3 players towards A. Now, if we would have, for example, a long player standing outside long, and this long player, when this kill comes in, will be doing 2 flashes over long, and let's say going out and taking a fight. What do you guys think is going to happen to the rotations of the CTs?
If they went to like 3 to take long, they will probably stay there if it's the beginning of the round.
Yeah? And so, how can I say, let's say that they lost the entry, right? Yeah, I guess it's hard to phrase as a question, but in the event that you get an entry frag on basically any map, and you do pressure in the area of entry, this means you are heavily forcing rotations. I'll write it down in the chat and I'll explain it. But in the event that you get an entry and you do the pressure not in the area of entry, you make rotations stay. This was basically the conclusion you came to as well, right? But having it down and written down in sentences like this makes it really easy to understand. If I go and I kill someone on B, and we now have a 5 versus 4, and we, for example, do a B door smoke, right? Let me see if I even landed this, actually. Unlucky. If I would be doing a door smoke and like flashes, or if I would be doing, a lurk smoke out of B tunnels, stuff like this, this is creating pressure in the area of entry. Because this is where we got the entry, right? Just so it's super clear. And this, if we would be doing this, would create a extremely fast rotation from probably 2 players. But if instead, as soon as we get entry on B, we start throwing flashes over long, or we turn off the Molotov on long, or we blitz the smoke on longhouse and stuff like this. This is pressure in the area where we don't have the entry, and this will make people stay. And understanding that concept is really important for lurking. Because if you have man advantage on a map like Inferno, and your teammates got an entry towards B, it could be that you will want to kind of do a bit of aggressive lurking. Like you will want to make your presence known and make the A players feel that it could still be that the round is ending A, to make them stay, and then your teammates will be able to go B more easily. Or on the flip side, if your teammates got an entry frag on B, and they actually immediately want to end the round on A, it would make a lot of sense for them to... I will give you a fucking just 2 example here. Imagine that I come out here with AWP, I crouch under, I stand up, I kill the AWP now. If I do like flash out mid quickly, and I do just like any mid to B smoke, and I do... Guys, it'd be so much cooler if I knew the lineups. I think I just did a little bit too fast. But imagine I do like mid to B smoke, or even with this kind of an entry, I could probably just do, flash out mid. And then I could do it by hand, and I could Molotov behind it, right? And then I would immediately walk back and go for a short hit with my team. It's almost 130% that the A rotation is now going to be in CT, trying to see if he can get out mid. And maybe he will even have someone who comes here and blitzes the smoke with him, or flashes him out after the Molotov and stuff like this. And this will give us so much better timing on short. So, as a lurker, or really any player on the map, especially in solo queue, understanding this concept of what pressure does to opponents is really important. And that's why I thought it was worth mentioning in the session, even though it technically isn't exactly a topic we're covering. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Perfect. That's good to hear. Any questions about lurking so far?
Why is it called a lurker smoke?
A lurk smoke?
Yeah, like why is it called like that?
Yeah, that's a pretty cool question actually. I guess the idea of a lurk smoke is just that if you do like some kind of smoke that goes out and creates pressure, you can lurk behind it, right? Like you are removing the opportunity for CTs to gain free information, and by making them unsafe, you give yourself a chance to lurk. But that's why it's called a lurk smoke. Like, it doesn't have to be specifically this lineup. It can be, you can also do like this kind of lurk smoke on short, right? Where it removes information from the CTs. They don't really know what's going on, and you can like take timing around this if you want. This is maybe not the greatest example, but I think in general, I guess the only real lurk smoke, I guess even something like this would be a lurk smoke to some extent, like where you smoke the left side of mid, and it gives you a chance to lurk out mid. I don't think anyone would understand what you mean if you would say I'm doing the lurk smoke. But if you say I'm doing lurk smoke left side mid, probably a lot of players would understand. And this would just be mid to B, right? But
I see, but like, can you fake like a lurk smoke? Like just throw it and not going in for it?
like
Because
when you're a
like,
lurker, you mean?
yes, let's say you do the smoke, right?
Yeah.
And like the enemies are like seeing that and they are calling it, guys, that is a lurk.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that pretty obvious that you will go in for it? Like, can you fake it if you do it?
Yeah, I mean, this example of, let's say we get a kill here, or let's say my teammates got a kill in mid, that's probably an even better example. If I, as the B player now, do a lurk smoke, and I immediately leave the area, I'm denying the CT's information for like 20 seconds, and I'm also making them feel extremely pressured, right? Like, if you're the CT now, standing here behind this smoke, and you don't have information if they're going out here, or if they're gonna B pop or anything, you will be calling for rotations if you're a good player. Like, you will be asking your teammates to come. Like, they're doing lurk smoke, they might be popping B, blah, 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 blah. And then it forces the A rotation to move away from the A side. And, you know, especially on those two where the rotation is open, this allows you to hold the cross, or it allows you to hit the side, like the A side, more
I
easily.
see. So how can you counter that? Just like throw a nade in it, or like a molly?
Yeah, as a CT, that would be one of the ways I would counter it. I mean, like, yeah, what you said. Blowing up the smoke on timing can be good because it gives you a lot of information. I guess technically, depending on how it lands, I mean, you could do something crazy like this, right? But it's a huge risk as well. I think what a lot of players will do as well is they will just spam kind of both sides with an M4, because it might deter anyone from lurking out alone. And also, if they're lurking out with many, or like if they're going for a B-pop and they're getting close in the smoke, you know, you might get a kill. And if you do get a kill, you will know that it's probably going to be B. As you said, you can Molotov behind it. But yeah, it is hard. That's why a lurk smoke generates pressure. It's because a lot of the times there isn't like a safe manner to get information. Another example would be anyone who's played Anubis. There's this B lurk smoke you can throw in front of B main as T. I can even show it. But that's also one where you can do it against your opponents, and it's really difficult for them to actually get information. And it's not a hard smoke to throw by any means. You just
Can
go.
you also show the Molotovs like for the left and right side behind that smokes, like so you can try to edge a bit, like.
Yeah, I can try at least. So basically, you just go here and you aim here where the shadow is.
Wait,
Some
wait,
people
wait,
aim
wait.
on the dot.
Wait, yeah, it's working now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
it's
can see.
fine. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
it's good.
So you can go here, and then, I mean, some people choose to aim on the dot, some people choose to aim on the shadow. I've always done the shadow, but I don't really think there's that big of a difference. But this lurk smoke at least will land like this, and as a T, it allows you to sneak up left side, and it also allows you to sneak right side. So it's hard for one CT to hold it, and that's why it's annoying. So the way I would deal with this one specifically is a lot of time I will I will wait a little bit, then I will nade it, exactly what you said. I will check to make sure no one's in, and when the smoke is, you know, fully bloomed again, I will Molotov behind it, and then maybe go and play jail or something like that. That way, I mean, you don't have to play jail, but the combination of the nade and the Molotov will buy enough time that the smoke is almost faded, and it's harder for them to do anything with it. You mean like Molotov here and here?
Yeah.
So, like the Molotov jail, I would just throw by hand. Like, you can just
Yeah,
throw
yeah,
like that.
that.
I
But
think
the right one I'm having trouble, like, because like some people are able to show it like all the way behind the pillar, and
Yeah.
it kind of like covers that whole area.
I don't know exactly the lineup anymore, because it's been a damn long time. But there are definitely lineups like... actually, I know... Like, so you mean the one that lands here?
Like behind the lurk smoke, and it like also somehow covers that area
Yeah.
as well, like behind the
I
pillar.
think a lot of people just throw it something like this.
Yeah, you can show it like
Yeah,
for the one in
Maybe
dots.
a little bit more on an angle, I guess. But I know that there is a lineup. I sadly don't really know it. I think... Wait, actually it might be something like this. Hang on. Ooh, we were close there. I've seen someone from my team throw this. I just don't know how. But it's definitely something like this. Imagine that this one lands. Okay, wait.
yeah.
Okay, it landed somehow. But
Yeah,
like,
I don't have to.
yeah, you can do this Molotov, and what some people choose to do as well, you know, if you do this Molotov again, hopefully it lands again, like you can have someone else do this Molotov, and then you actually burn out the whole right-hand side, if that makes sense. Then it's really difficult for them to stand in this area at all. But yeah, this is also an example of a lurk smoke. I'll give you an example of an A lurk smoke. Let me see if I remember this one. I think it's like this. No, that is
Can I ask
definitely
a
not it.
question?
Yeah, of
Again?
course.
Yeah, so like, let's say you're killing the lurk, or you're getting killed as a
Yeah,
lurk.
yeah.
How like will like I don't even know how to ask, but how like if it's late, so how will your team should react, and how the enemy team will react
Yeah.
from lurking like the killing the lurk?
So it is kind of just down to like if it's someone who likes to aggressively lurk, right? This blowing up the smoke on a good timing will kind of reduce the likelihood of the T getting a kill here, right? And
Yeah.
you can choose to do it on your own timing. If you know he likes to lurk early, you can nade early, and if you know he likes to do it a little bit later, you can play with the timing depending on how the previous rounds have been, right? You can also Molotov first and then nade it after the Molo, because maybe he's going close and standing here behind it, and then when the Molo phase, then he's getting into it, and then he gets naded and he gets killed. But I mean, I think this is just where sort of experience comes into play. If you are the B-side anchor on a map like Anubis, and the T's do the lurk smoke, but they never lurk through it, for example, you can risk it and just call that they did lurk smoke B and leave it at that. If you know that they really like to lurk through it, you can say, they did lurk smoke on B, I need a rotation, for example. Or you can, I mean, in certain positions, you can also, like this, for example. It would be pretty nice for me to be playing jail against this and have my teammate playing here. And then we could ask for a rotation from the AWP, for example. While this smoke is up, our AWP could even come and play here and hold con for us. That way, if he lurks through either side, we're gonna kill him, and we have a really strong setup on B. But then obviously, if they use this lurk smoke to just go A, then it's bad. So it's experience and read of the game that comes into play in such a case. I do think though, majority of the time, teams will not lurk, or like players in general will not lurk aggressively. Maybe more so in Faceit or those kind of things like in solo queue. People might, but just doing the lurk smoke and walking through it every round is something very few players do, because it is a risk. But the lurk smoke just gives a lot of pressure on the CTs, and that's why it can be good to do it from time to time. Yeah.
I see. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I feel like there was something I wanted to say, but now I feel like I kind of forgot it. I wonder what it was. I feel like it was something when we talked about these filters, maybe.
I think you were trying to show the lineup for the smoke. Was it that?
No, I'm not so sure actually. I wonder what it was. At least just yeah, when it comes to lurking, it can be a sort of dangerous thing to do too much in solo queue as well, because if you're always on the opposite side of the map, then your teammates might get annoyed. And I've also played countless matches, even at 3000 elo and stuff like this, where like we will call an A rush and some other guy will be going B, for example. And this is not valuable lurking. Like if your teammates call a rush, you should never lurk. It doesn't make sense. I mean, well, you can sometimes lurk if it's part of the plan, but majority of the time, it's just not good to lurk in those situations. I guess the important thing for the lurking position is that you should be almost like a hybrid lurker, right? The roles in Counter-Strike are getting sort of more and more murky for every day. So like, if you watch the major grand final from 2014, you will see literally a probably support player and a entry player and a lurk player and an AWP player and an IGL. And the IGL is probably also the support player. like the one throwing the grenades. Whereas today in Counter-Strike, I mean, the IGLs are a lot of the times the most aggressive player on the team. They are the ones trying to use their read of the game and their sort of ability to construct a good round to also try to find gaps in the enemy's defense or be the ones running in so that they can get more time to think, basically. And you know, as I said already, entry fraggers and lurkers have sort of become the same thing, because any lurker needs to be able to play aggressive lurk, and to play aggressive lurk you need to be kind of an entry without utility, or at least with your own utility. If you're an entry fragger, there will be times where you are left alone on your side of the map while your team is working for area on the other side. So realistically, I know we won't have time to go through all of the roles, or even much more than the two that we did, because I think they are also the ones that take the longest to explain. But realistically, when you are a solo queue player, you should almost see yourself as a hybrid. Like, if you are extremely good at playing AWP, for example, and you always play AWP, there will be matches where you get with a 3-stack on Mirage, and they just say, we want to play the 3 mid positions. And in such a case, it would be really difficult for you to play AWP. And if you then have no experience playing any of the other roles, playing solo queue will be hard. That's also why one of the best recommendations, if you want to, you know, grind elo and you want to go up in level, is find teammates to play with so that you can play your regular roles more often. But being flexible and being like a hybrid player is really, really important in solo queue overall. I've talked about this a lot as well, but communication, for example, is one of those things where it isn't role specific. There isn't one person on a team who is a communicator. But one of the greatest things you can do for yourself if you like playing solo queue is getting really good at communicating. Because majority of players are extremely bad at communicating and also choose not to when they play FACEIT. And that's why if you are the one who is talking a lot, you will, even if you're not playing that great, be a positive impact on your team. And that's something that will definitely higher your chances of winning. Yes, okay guys, I think we've made it to the part of the session where we do questions, and now we don't have to necessarily have a question specifically about what we've talked about. It can be, but also it can be if you want just to see a piece of utility or anything like this that I can help you with, then let me know. And if no one has a question, then I will probably just yap on for another 5 minutes or something like that, and then wish you guys a good day. But I'll give you a little bit of time to think, just so if you have a question, you can ask it.
Could you show me a good Molotov for right side mid as a T?
Yes, I can
'Cause
show you the best one.
from the box and yeah, nah, not that one, the running one maybe, because I feel like I got naded a lot. Or feel exposed.
I think for the running one, let me see. I think I aim between this thing and the carpet.
Carpet?
Yeah, I think so. And let me see. I don't really remember when I let go of it anymore. Ooh, that was close. I guess a little bit more to the right. So maybe more here. But I guess it's like... Yes, something like that will be the running one. I guess I just do it kind of when I'm like reaching the end of the shadow, you know? I will show you though, like... I know you get... Like, okay, I'll show you one thing here. Actually, this is a kind of interesting thing. A lot of people throw this Molotov, right? You've seen it a million times. Wait. Sorry, is it like this? I haven't even thrown this Molotov for a long time. For some reason, recently, it sometimes leaves a gap here. Like, it's since they did the jump update, and sometimes it leaves the gap all the way in the corner here, where you can stand. You see? This Molotov is actually, yeah, I don't know, it's kind of broken. Like, it's mostly in the back corner here that it doesn't burn. Like, if I step out, I will burn, but if I'm staying in the corner... So actually, a lot of pro teams at the major, at least the ones who haven't realized it, are failing this Molo every round. You could, in theory, just stand here and get killed. It's really weird. Anyway, here is a different Molotov lineup. You can jump like just up on the first pixel, sort of. Now I need to even remember where I aim. Holy shit, guys! I have insane blackout now. Wait, let me do this, because I found a lineup for it. I think it's here. Oh yeah. Okay, now I remember. So basically, you jump up like on the first pixel here, and then you aim here, right? So like the end of this brown thing, and jump through. This one, I think it might actually not take the corner either, but what it does do, this is again because of the kind of, yeah, I don't know, bug or whatever. This Molotov, it lands so that it burns the door, but it also burns, normally at least, so that you, I mean, you have to be so far out they can see you, or you will burn. Like if you try to hide, you should burn. Okay, this Molotov is actually so cooked, but yeah, basically like, standing here is not nice. Whereas with the other one, you can see there will be way more space for me to play here. Like, I can go further back without burning. The problem with this Molotov, which is the good Molotov basically, is that when people smoke this, you won't be able to line it up. So I found a lineup. You can go in here and crouch, and then there's like 1, 2, 3 here. Might be a little bit hard to see, but you can go here with your crosshair. Then you can go over, and you can like jump up, and then do it, and it should work. Perfect. Okay, it's, I guess, the third thing. These are the things that happens when you're a coach and no longer a player, because I'm not the one who is actually throwing the util. I'm just the one finding some of it. But this way you can at least do the good Molotov while you're still smoke. And that's very valuable. Also, if you didn't watch the Anubis today between Spirit and Liquid, I would actually recommend it. Like, if you like playing Anubis, I would recommend you watch it. I don't really know why, but it felt like Liquid was playing retake on the A bomb side so much. I wonder if it was some kind of anti-strat or something like this, but it seemed definitely like in the anti-strat that Spirit had the upper hand. Like, my understanding of Anubis, I'm not claiming to have a better understanding of Anubis than Liquid, but I will say it's something that really surprised me, is that, you know, if you as team manage to do, like, it doesn't have to be this exact lineup, right, but if you manage to do this smoke, and do, like, Molotov that lands in front of it, basically, this is a really, really good chance to win a round if the A player is alone on the A side. Like, locking the rotation with the smoke and the Molo means that this is a really, really hard round for the solo A player. And the way Liquid played today, they almost had JKS playing inside camera. I think even the last round, like the one that lost them the game, I'm not sure. But I think he was playing from camera, getting ready to fight mid. And then Spirit did another A execute, where they did like 4 or 5 in a row almost. And every time it felt like he was playing extremely passive. One of the times they actually managed to win the round, Liquid, which was, you know, great by them. But I do think, I want to say, if you want to see how I would recommend not to play Anubis from a pro team, I would watch Liquid CT side on Anubis against Spirit. Because it was a big question mark for me why they would choose to play it that way.
Saving every round.
I mean, they did fight for it, and they fought for it well. I just feel like it seemed more damaging than positive. Also, let me see if I can do this smoke. I don't remember exactly how it was. This might be a smoke I will need to find for you guys. I saw a smoke lineup recently where you would be here. Actually, it might be here. Let me see. Not quite. It's very close to this. Maybe it's here. But essentially, you can. There's a smoke here that bounces, and then, yes, like this. Look at this. This is like the alert smoke on A. You can throw from the T stairs, and with the way that it bounces bounces like down. So it lands in this area that allows you to go to pillar. And yeah, the idea of this is that if you get just like any random flash here, you go in and you immediately Molotov, like you can clear this close area, and then you can actually walk up and create a shit ton of pressure on A without even having A main control before you do the smoke. I think this is one of those things that teams should be doing more. But I've only seen it from like this smoke from a female team, and I think if things were up to me and I was in a pro team, this kind of pressure is very valuable. So yeah.
You think it should be a part of a default, kinda? If you take A main as default and they give it up easily, and you can start throwing that smoke.
Yes, this will generate so much pressure on the A player. Like for example, against the JKS today, the way he played. If you would do this like at the start of a round, he has to use defensive util, or they have to rotate people over on A. He can't just like give it up, you know. And then I guess if you do it one time, the next time they will bring the AWP over and he will start somewhere here and play like the edge of the smoke, and then you just change something. But I think it's a really cool idea that I wish more people would pick up. But okay guys, I know there were some kind of annoying PC issues. I'm happy that we at least managed to have like a full hour of session now without it. Tomorrow, if everything goes according to plan, I will have my new PC delivered, and hopefully these problems that I've been having are over and done with. And then, yeah, I hope this wasn't too much of a nuisance today, but the quality of the session should go back to normal. So that is something I'm looking forward to.